Welcome to Behind the Build. I'm your host, Jonathan Jacobs. I've got with me today an architect who is from, actually working in Austin, but originally from Toronto, right?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, so today I've got with me Murray Legge of Murray Legge Architecture in Austin, Texas, who I met through Adam Tom here in Toronto, longtime friends. Coincidentally, was on a trip with Lutron and Adam and Nadine from Drawing Room to go and see what Lutron was about. And Murray and a counterpart of his, Hugh Jefferson, took us on this incredible tour through Austin and got to know Murray a little bit more personally that way. We went out for dinner at Cinco de Mayo.
Yep.
And so it was a
Right.
pleasure to have you
Crowded.
here. Pardon me?
It was super crowded. I remember it's like we were like it's Cinco de Mayo. Oh my God.
Yeah, we did. We're not forecasting that night. We did not plan that night well, but we ended up getting a
It
great
was cool
table.
though. Yeah, we did. We got a very cool table.
We were
And
like in this
great
atrium of an
crowd.
incredible Mexican restaurant.
Yeah.
Um,
And Miguel, famous restaurant here in town.
yeah, uh, drinks were delicious. Food
Mhm.
was excellent.
Right.
Company was great. You know, the little tangent about dinner in Austin is actually the perfect setup for a quick thank you to a partner who makes at home dinners feel like that. Kaplan's Appliances. If you've listened to this show for a while, you know that we obsess over the details that you feel but don't always notice. Even heat, quiet ventilation, hardware that actually lasts. That's true on site and it's true in the kitchen. And what I like about Kaplan's is that they don't try to just sell you on something that you do or don't need. They want to really figure it out with you. They want to be an active participant. They ask, how do you cook? What do you cook? What space are we solving for? And then they spec to that reality. On projects that matters. Clearances, makeup, air, panel ready versus pro style, noise, and open plans. We've had Kaplan's walk clients through those trade offs so the kitchen works in real life, not just in a rendering. If you're a homeowner, designer, architect, or builder trying to balance performance with budget, start with good questions and a team that knows all of the brands and all of the products. If you want to connect with Kaplan's, email me. It's Jonathan, Jonathan, at waldenhomes.ca, and I'm happy to put you in touch with their amazing team. But for now, let's go back to Murray because the story gets fun right around the part where we start talking about how the work actually happens. So, Murray, obviously, I've kind of done the intro, but thanks for joining. Thanks for taking some time. I'd like you to, if you can, just kind of take us through what your life was like early in your life, and I always try to bring this back to like early stage of like 3, 4, 5. Well, what kind of child were you?
Right. Yeah, good question. What kind of child was I? Well, first of all, thanks for the invitation to be on the podcast. I'm excited to
Pleasure.
talk to you. It's cool to talk to somebody who's on the build side of things. I think it's like gives a different perspective on what we're doing rather than just like architects talking to architects. So thanks for that.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Yeah, early childhood. I grew up actually in rural Ontario, in Whitevale, Ontario, which is just outside of Toronto. It was about a 30-minute drive, or back then it was about a 30-minute drive into Toronto from Whitevale. I lived there until I was about, I don't know, 16 or 17, and then I moved into Toronto for high school, like for the
Okay.
rest, like high school. Spent, quite a bit of time in rural Ontario, but it was a
I,
great place to grow up. It was like, had the best of both worlds. It was like very rural, so had like it was a farming community, so surrounded by farms, and my parents weren't farmers. They worked in the city, but
what do they do?
my dad was an engineer,
Okay.
aeronautical engineer, and my mom was a nurse. But yeah, in terms of architecture, like I guess, it was something that wasn't really like on my radar. When I was in high school, I wanted to be a filmmaker. I was really like into art and film, and
Okay.
wanted to do that.
Who was your favorite when you were younger? Who are some of your favorite directors?
Oh yeah, good, like Jim Jarmusch, and I was really like into the indie film scene. So it was more like a more like it was less like about like seeing movies and more like a kind of this abstract idea of like being a filmmaker was like really kind of like an exciting idea to me.
Right.
Um,
So did you take film in school?
no, actually, I did a lot of photography though. Did a
Okay.
lot of photography in high school. And that's like my portfolio to the University of Toronto Architecture School. So I went to architecture school in Toronto for 2 years, and then I transferred to the Cooper Union after that in New
Okay.
York.
For
But
for those that don't know that are younger, just to understand that when you were taking photography, it was not digital photography.
no, it was all, yes, exactly. It was like we were spent a lot of time in
In
the
the
dark
dark room.
room
Yeah, right?
developing photographs. And but yeah, I really wanted to be a filmmaker or an artist of some kind. Like I was really into art and photography. And but at the time, like there was Ryerson Polytechnic had a film program,
Yep.
which was really good. I applied there. And actually, kind of funny story. Like my girlfriend at the time, we had broken up, and she had gotten into film school. So I needed to apply to like I needed a backup plan. So
Did
she
you
was
did not want to go to the same school?
yeah, exactly. I didn't want to go to the same school, so I needed a backup plan. And I'd heard like it was like that the architecture school was like a really good education, just like well-rounded education. So what I thought I would do is like apply to architecture school and go there for a few years while I was like researching other film schools to go to.
Okay.
That's how I kind of stumbled into architecture.
And the portfolio you had from photography was sufficient enough to be able to demonstrate your abilities.
Yeah, I think like at the time, University of Toronto had the portfolio review process was like very open-ended, very they were just looking for like more kind of aesthetic sensibility and that sort of thing. It wasn't like about being able to draft or anything like that. They weren't really
Okay.
looking for drafting skills or anything.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so I went to University of Toronto, and there I just discovered like a world of architecture, which was really cool. So after about half of a year, we went on a kind of bargain basement architecture tour to Buffalo, where we went to see like the Roby House, went not the Roby House, but like Frank Lloyd Wright. We saw some Sullivan, and we visited the Unitarian Church by Louis Kahn, and that really kind of blew my mind. I was like, after I remember it was just such an incredible experience visiting that church, and I remember thinking, okay, I could be an architect. Like this is something I could do for sure.
So you transferred. You transferred out of U of T?
Yeah, University of Toronto. So after second year, I moved to New York City. My sister was living in New York. She was an artist there. So I really I mean, just in general, like as a goal, I was really interested in getting out of Toronto and seeing, like just traveling and seeing the world. I mean, I love Toronto. Toronto's a great city, great place to grow up for sure. But just wanting to, as this like young person wanting to get out and see the more of the world and
Yeah.
like live in other cities and stuff. I really love New York City too. So yeah, applied to Cooper Union and got in and went there for 4 years to finish my bachelor degree.
And had you met people at U of T that you're still in touch with now? Or
Yeah, for sure. Kevin Weiss. I don't know if you know Kevin, Craig Babe, who lives in Toronto now. They're like old friends.
okay.
Yeah, and I had some great teachers at University of Toronto too. Like George Baird was a teacher of mine,
Yep.
Barry Sampson, really amazing teachers. Yeah.
Okay. And then you so when you're in the new program out of curiosity, did you have to start fresh or did they allow the
No,
credits
I
to
started in
transfer?
third year. I
You
transferred in the
did.
third year. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And so what was it like? Because I mean, going from Toronto to New York, as much as they're like metropolis cities,
Right.
they're completely different.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. I mean, New York is just like living in New York City was like really intense experience. First of all, like it was in the 80s. So the city, I lived in the East Village, and the city was like my recollection of it was on like on fire. Like, it was just I remember going up to the rooftop of my building, which was the first place I lived, which was on Clinton Street, just south of Houston. It's like Avenue B turns into Clinton, south of Houston. And it was like being up on top of the building and like looking out over the city. It was just like on fire. It was like fires everywhere. I remember walking home one day and like looking into like a storefront. It was like all burning in flames, and like nobody was calling the fire department or anything.
So coming from a small town outside of
Yeah,
Toronto, to going to Toronto to going to a city like New York and seeing it on fire. That is in some ways like quite the evolution of what of
Right.
what's available in this world.
But New York's was like back then anyway, it was like very much like a city of small cities.
Right.
So like the building, there was a vacant lot next to the building I was living in, the tenement building on Clinton Street, and it was called the OK Corral, and they had like roosters and chickens and stuff. So I used to wake up in the morning to like hearing roosters crowing. It was like being in the country. Um,
Amazing. Ah, okay. Okay. Do you
yeah.
have any recollections of like a go-to spot that you used to go to for food, coffee, or something like that that
I
still
spent a
sticks
lot
out
of
in your
time
mind?
just like in the bodegas, the bodegas and on in the East Village, getting coffee and a bagel with cream cheese. But like one of the places we go to a lot was Dojo,
Okay.
East Village. And, so like it was my route to get to school was like walking up Avenue B, and then you get to Tompkins Square Park at 7th Street, and then walk across 7th Street to Cooper Union. So I used to walk past there quite a bit. It was like really rough back then. Like Avenue B was kind of sketchy. You didn't want to really walk around there at night. I was a
Okay.
big guy, so it was like a little easier. I've never gotten mugged, but like a lot of friends of mine were mugged and stuff back in the day. Like we'd be at a party and suddenly someone come in all flustered. It's like, I was just mugged outside of your building. It's like, right.
And it makes me feel really happy to have to look forward to going home right now. We'll
Yeah, right.
walk home
In a,
holding hands.
yeah, being a safe city, it's like, yeah, something not to take advantage to take.
So as a part of that program, I don't know this. So is was there a co-op program as a part of it or not?
What do you mean?
With it with third, fourth year at Cooper,
Oh
did
yeah.
you have a co-op or was there no co-op?
What do you mean by a co-op?
Did you get to work at a an architecture
Oh,
practice as a part of the
no,
school? No. Okay.
no, no. It was very much like an art school.
Okay.
Uh, it was like we didn't actually really design buildings very frequently. It was
Okay.
like a radical thing at Cooper Union to design a building. They were more like kind of spatial experiments, and like it was more like being in an art school back
Okay.
then.
So what did you do to gain your experience and exposure? Did you in the summers work
I had
somewhere?
to work, so I didn't have any money at all. I mean, one of the great things about Cooper was that it was full tuition scholarship, which I
Okay.
didn't realize at the time I applied. So it was free. And then I had to work basically. I had like Canada student loans that I used, I
Yeah.
think it was like back in the day, it was like $3,700 a year or something I got in Canada student loans. And then the rest of the money I had to earn basically just working in offices. Uh,
Okay.
Cooper students were like very employable because they had the reputation of like having very good drawing skills and very good model building skills.
Okay.
And this was back in the day when everything was still like you still drew by hand.
Yeah. So
And like it was just the first like computer labs were starting to spring up, and the first offices had, were starting to use AutoCAD. But
so what did that look like for you? Where did if and this is up to you. I mean, whether
yeah,
you want to name places or not. So what
yeah,
did it
sure.
look like and what were you working on at that
Yeah,
time?
I worked for a couple of offices. I worked for a guy, Jerry Caldari, and he was a very good architect in Manhattan. And we were doing a lot of like houses in the Hamptons, and like big kind of luxury houses in the Hamptons, and apartment renovations.
Okay.
He had some very famous clients that he had that we worked for. And so we would do these like Park Avenue apartment remodel renovations, which were very elaborate. We'd go in and spend like weeks drawing the existing moldings and existing handrails and everything, all the existing woodwork. And it was really great exposure. Like I really love, I mean, something really interested in. We don't do that much work in, but like historic preservation and working on older houses,
Hmm.
doing a lot of addition remodels and that sort of thing. So I've always loved working with older buildings. Yeah, so Jerry's office was great. I really learned a lot. I remember when I first interviewed for him, he made me write the alphabet because, like writing,
I went to see your penmanship.
yeah, see penmanship, exactly. But
Really?
yeah, so like drafting was like really, really important to him. And I remember once too, like I drew a P trap incorrectly in a section drawing. So he made me like crawl underneath the sink and actually field measure the P trap. Draw it really accurately. So he was like really fanatical about the drafting had, the drawings had to look really good.
Okay.
And
Did he judge you, Murray, whether or not you brought your own pen or pencil to that to write to
don't
writing the
remember.
letters?
I don't remember that.
Okay.
Back in the day, like drafting, you could really tell a lot about how well someone could draft by like how they're printing, basically, like how
Yeah.
well they print.
Right.
And, uh,
The lost art.
yeah, so anyway, it was great working for him. I worked for him like over the summers and then part-time, but then I also worked for Pei Partners. That was like pretty sweet job. Working at night, basically. We had a kind of night shift. Like Cooper really frowned upon people working in offices because they really wanted you to focus on your schoolwork
Yeah, of course.
and yeah, and, since it was full tuition scholarship, they felt like you shouldn't have to work, I guess. But like I was not, I didn't come from any family with any money at all. So I had to kind of make my own way. And
Yeah.
but yeah, I worked on the Holocaust Museum. We built like huge models of and Stephen Jobs' apartment in Manhattan.
Very cool.
Yeah,
All right.
so that was a good experience. So they paid very well. So
And so what led you away from New York to ultimately land in Austin?
well, I spent actually like after I graduated from Cooper, I spent quite a bit of time, spent a couple of years in like rural Ontario. That's
Okay.
when I met Adam. That's when I really became like really close friends with Adam,
Okay.
um, with my friend Don Miller. So what I did was my friend Don, his old friends from high school, he was working in rural Ontario. He's somebody you should meet actually.
Okay.
Uh, he's like a really incredible person, and he was taking old barns down, barns that were slated for demolition. He was dismantling them and like restoring the joints and the basically the woodwork, and he was building a studio and house for himself in rural Ontario near Shelburne actually. And so I spent a couple of years working for him on that property, and that's when I really got to know Adam. We spend like weekends in Toronto and hanging out and you know partying and stuff, and then worked, in the construction basically in rural Ontario, the barns.
And I'm assuming that having that hands-on exposure
Oh
really
yeah, it was great.
really
Like I
helps
love
shape what you do.
yeah, I really love the old barns, and they're like amazing construction. I really love timber frame construction, and there's just something about those old barns that is so incredible. Like I don't know if you've ever spent a lot of time in them, but they're like quite incredible structures. So that
They're
was
able to withstand the winters here are not kind.
No, they're not, right. But like the wood's incredible. Like some of these boards were like, 24 inches wide and like 10 feet long and like kind of weathered down to almost like thin as paper, like incredible, like pine and
Yeah.
cedar oak beams and yeah, just like really incredible stuff. So so that's what I did like immediately after school. And then I had a friend who was living in Austin, and I came down to visit her. And that's how I wound up in Austin.
Okay. And so what do you remember like what year it was that you moved down there?
It was like 98, I think, something like
Okay.
that. 97, 98, around then.
Yeah.
Uh,
So it was around the same time as the Bulls getting their sixth championship.
is that right? Yeah. Have you been watching the Jays?
I've been watching the Jays. Oh
They're
yeah.
yeah, it's great.
For the I mean, we'll see how this does as over time and
Right.
how it ages, but we're recording this on the night after the Jays tied up the series
Right.
against Seattle,
Yeah.
and they won eight to
Nice. A big
two,
game.
and
Yeah.
game five is tonight, and so very, very excited about this.
Excited game tonight for sure. Yeah.
So yes, I am watching the Jays. And
That's
I
nice.
was watching the Bulls back then too, watching Jordan
Really.
come back and
Yeah.
just light up Utah. I think that 98
That's,
98 was the Utah series.
oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I could be
Memory.
wrong.
Yeah.
Nonetheless. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's talk about that. So
Yeah.
you left rural Ontario, you came to Austin, and did you have a plan for what Austin would look like for you?
No, not really. I just came down to visit, and
Okay.
things were like the economy was doing really well down here. Like
Yep.
things were a little slow, and I really wanted to practice architecture, although, and it was like really cheap to live in Austin. Austin had like
Okay.
a great art scene. It was affordable. I think my rent when I moved down here was about $300 a month, and I was paying in New York for the loft. We were paying 1,200 a month, which is like more than what my mortgage was is here. You know. So So it's just like affordable place to live, like really interesting people, like great film scene. Like I met
Yeah.
my wife here. She is teaching at the University of Texas. She was a graduate of the program, the University of Texas film program here. And yeah, I work with her actually on public art projects. Like my sister and wife and I have a public art company together. We do like on the side, like public art projects.
Yes.
So
I remember you
just
telling me all about this.
yeah,
So put out there too is that if you're interested in looking at what that is with this side project, go to the liner notes of the show, and we'll put in the link so
yeah,
you can see what those installations look like.
right, cool.
Okay. So yeah, so okay, so what happens? So you meet your wife. Had you
Yeah.
when you moved down there, had you established a place to work yet or not?
No, I hadn't really like had a place to work or anything. I just saved up a bunch of money, worked for Dawn
Okay.
and on the barns, and I just so I started looking for jobs here, and there were quite a few offices that were hiring. I ended up working for a company called LZT Architects. They had like a wide range of different projects they were working on. That's what really appealed to me about the office. One of my project that I really wanted to do, like for early on, was like a highway maintenance building, and that was what there's just something about highway maintenance buildings that I was really like attracted to, and so they that was the first project I worked on for them, was
What
like XDOT.
what was it? Like what is it about that building
Just
that
a combination of like, large vehicles and like, office, the range of scales of, I guess, something to do with like highways. It was, had kind of a, I don't know, more of like an intuitive kind of attraction to
okay.
that particular program. But so I worked for them, and they worked on a lot of different. We did like affordable housing projects. We did the homeless shelter here in Austin, and not a lot of residential work. So I worked for them for quite a few years, and then decided to just like start my own office.
And so what year did you find
That
your
was
office?
2013 was when I started my own office.
Okay.
So it's been about 12 years or
Yeah.
13 years. Yeah.
And when you started it, was it just you?
It was me and one other person, Travis. I had one employee at the time. I
Okay.
mean, we're only three people right now, so we've always kept it small.
Yeah. And
And
what were some of your first projects? What do they look like? And more importantly to what the projects were, how did you acquire them?
First projects, one of the first projects was Griffin School, which is a high school.
Okay.
Through just having been here in the city, and I made a lot of contacts while I was working for LZT, and I had like already established myself as an architect in the city.
Yeah.
LZT was acquired by like a larger company, and so at the time I had the choice of like kind of staying with that larger company, and
Yeah.
like was multidisciplinary too, so it had like landscape, civil, architecture, and kind of working on larger projects. Or I was like more interested in just kind of like being able to kind of have my hand in the design and
Right.
focus on that. So
And so you land a school as your first project.
that was like one of the first projects. Yeah, it was a
I
school project.
mean, I can't tell you that I've heard that from many people.
Yeah, they were like it's a private school, so the owners, Adam and Caroline, who are really great. Our kids went to preschool together.
Okay.
So that's how I got to know them. And at LCT, I'd done like a lot of school projects. I'd actually done the auditorium, like I'd done like a 500 seat theater, my daughter's high school, and had worked on a lot of school projects. So I had the reputation of having like that kind of experience of working on school projects.
And how many students were going to be going to the school? What was the size?
The 120,
Okay.
so
So it's a
pretty
good
small.
sized school.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was just like an addition, basically. It was like they were in an existing church building, and so we added another building. It wasn't like a whole high school project. I mean,
Yeah.
high schools tend to be huge, kind of huge projects for architects to do, and this was like a
Yeah.
small, more intimate kind of. That was one of the first projects, but we were working on like we were getting like a lot of residential commissions at the time to houses and remodel jobs.
And were you spending money on marketing or was this all just word of mouth?
Kind of word of mouth, yeah. Like literally started in my house, and then rent. Then that lasted about a month, and had two people working out of my house.
And your wife was like, "Okay, I think you need to go find an office."
My wife and daughter were like, they're still here. It's time to, yeah, it's time to get an office space. So, but started this very, kind of bootstrappy. Yeah, didn't really spend a lot of money on marketing. Again, like I had worked in the city and been very active and involved in like the American Institute of Architects, the chapter here in Austin. And so I gotten, built up quite a few connections through my work at LZT.
I was in touch with the AIA there, and that chapter, they're amazing.
Yeah, they're really on fire. They're very active and
They're amazing, and so the stuff they're doing, and just
yeah.
even how kind they were when when I was chatting with them on
Oh
the
yeah,
phone.
right. Yeah, they're very nice.
Uh,
Yeah, Ingrid Spencer, who runs it's amazing. She's a great, great person.
if you're listening to this and you're wondering, I mean, what I could tell you is that Austin is an incredible place to visit. Like just it's there's so much different type of architecture there.
Mhm.
The residential areas are amazing. Downtown's is an experience. But I say all of this because as a part of what they have there, they also do these incredible tours.
Right. The
Um,
homes tours, yeah, coming
yeah,
up. Yeah.
and it's if you're considering going there, I would recommend going there and connecting with the AIA because you can get set up to go on these tours and you get to see some beautiful architecture.
Right. Yeah. A lot of great architects here. Yeah,
So,
Austin has had a weird combination. Like when I started of being like really small, there's an architecture school here. Like I teach at the architecture school. So there was it's a very good architecture school. So the people that work in the office are graduates or people I got to know or meet through the architecture school through my teaching. So and it was affordable. It's not affordable anymore, which is really unfortunate. I mean, that's changed quite a bit. It's like uh, the last 10 years, the cost of the city has like increased. The cost of like living in the city has increased
right,
substantially. But at the time, it was like affordable. You could like actually have an office, and and there's also like a lot of wealth in the city too. So like a lot of like what we do is a small kind of bespoke like architecture office is residential work,
right.
obviously. So you've got to have clients that are willing to pay for or able to pay for that because it just gets quite expensive construction and design. So Austin has that as well.
What I would contribute to that too is that as you listen to this, if you take a look at our YouTube channel, you'll see that there's a division of there's the podcast and there's also like these videos called Inside the Challenge, and it's with architects and consultants, and they're talking through challenges of practice, whether and it can be anything. And I say this because Murray and I had recorded a challenge associated with one of the projects that he has, and you can see how incredible this project is. And we got to tour when I was there in May. And there's this like Oculus that's a part of this project. And you'll see as he describes what the design intent was with it. It's worth going onto this to understand it. It's a cool walkthrough of this design. So
Yeah,
recommend that as well.
that's a great example. I mean, that house is like we're just really fortunate to have clients that are willing to spend money on projects like that and like kind of be adventurous in design and but it's like an important part of our practice is to I mean but at the same time like a lot of the work we're doing is like we consider to be like lower budget projects. We're working on a lot of like houses and for budgets that are like less than there's not everything is like multi-million dollar houses and
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, and I mean, we saw another project that you're working on
Mhm.
that was intentionally done well,
Right,
and it didn't have to be such an expensive project.
right,
It was just thoughtful, gave the people
right,
what they were looking for, and the envelope was really tight, which was
right.
I know an important detail there.
Yeah.
You just heard us talk about a tight envelope, and that's my cue to shout out the doors. This is where architecture intent meets day to day comfort. You value sight lines, gasketing, hardware, feel. If your windows underperform, you feel drafts, you hear traffic, and bleed energy. What I like about the doors is the balance of fit and finish. Correct frames and sills, proper shimming, clean installation, and the ability to spec proven European aluminum windows. Indoors, and hardware like Schuko and Alaplast when the project calls for it. That means slim profiles without giving up thermal performance and hardware that stays true after a couple of seasons. I mean, I'm looking through their product right now as I say all of this. If you're planning a reno or new build, bring your elevations, performance targets, and budget, and they'll help map where to spend and where to save so the window and door package feels intentional every time you open it. If you want to learn more and get connected to them, feel free to email me. It's Jonathan, Jonathan, at waldenhomes.ca, and I'm happy to introduce you to the team. Okay, we should go back to Murray and the decision making rhythm on civic versus residential work. So, yeah, so why don't you go
It
ahead?
is becoming, I mean, one of the challenges for architecture is becoming like harder and harder for normal people to afford to build. Like a lot of our clients, like, a few years ago were like what we call normal clients, which are like somebody, like two people have a job and they, have like just regular means, like kind of middle class. And it's just harder because construction costs are kind of getting out of control. So
Yeah.
I'm sure you're experiencing too, the same kind of challenges.
Yeah, I mean it's I'm we're in some ways hopeful that these things will kind of level out
Right,
as people's needs change and they don't want to be as extravagant potentially.
right,
The market has to respond to it.
right.
So we're talking about your practice and what these projects look like, and I describe an Oculus like some of the inspiration. Who are some of the people that you kind of wanted to not necessarily emulate, but that were laying the foundation of what you felt you wanted to use as an
Right.
expression in your architecture? Who are some of those people?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. Like I love looking at architecture and like studying architects. I guess early on I was really inspired by the work of Louis Kahn. I think I mentioned that
Yeah,
before.
the
This
church in Buffalo.
church in Buffalo, which really blew me away. And it's hard to describe exactly what it is about. There's a certain kind of like primitive quality to they're very primitive, but sophisticated at the same time. Quality of light inside the buildings is like quite extraordinary. There's just like a certain kind of spiritual quality that the buildings have that is like hard to kind of put your finger on. But at the same time, like a real joy in thinking through the detailing and the construction of the buildings. The buildings are like very thoughtfully detailed and built. That building was like a really big influence. There's also the Kimball Art Museum, which is one of his like great works of art. Is like a 3-hour drive from here in Austin, and that's also like a work that was like very influential, very inspiring. The concrete work and again, the quality of light inside the Kimball is like quite extraordinary, and the level of kind of detailing and invention, I
Yeah,
guess, too, invention and the engineering and the basic kind of spatial organization, quite remarkable. Other architects, like I would say that the Renzo Piano, the Dumanil in Houston is also like I'm thinking about buildings that are like nearby that I
yeah.
could visit. So Houston's about a 2.5-hour drive from Austin, and the Dumanil is like quite an extraordinary building. If anyone, if you get a chance to visit it, it's like quite incredible.
Okay, I'm looking at that now.
Yeah,
And so you see some of these, and and now as you say this and you talk about some of this, I can understand. I'm thinking of some of that concrete work at
right.
that same house,
Uh-huh.
and how important that concrete work was and how nice it was.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get some photos to be able to put up on Instagram of
Right.
the of what that project, both what the intent is with the project, but also what some of the construction looks like, and throw it up in
Right.
the stories.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
so tell me about the practice in general when you look at managing projects. Do you
Mhm.
have a capacity of project that you don't want to move past and that you feel you can manage?
I mean, right now, it's like things are a little slower,
Okay.
so we're sort of taking everything that we can get. We're like, I think it's, very specific sort of thing that we do, so we're not really approached by like a wide range of people to do projects. We're working on like actually like we've got actually, quite a range of things we're doing, like project types right now. We're doing it's called Padel, which is like a kind of racquetball
Yeah,
sport.
yeah.
So yeah, so along with the residential projects, we were working on quite a few residential projects, and we've got about, like, if you look at our roster of projects right now, we've got about 20 going on in the office at all different stages. With
Okay.
there's 7 under construction and quite a few in development, different stages. When interest rates went up, there was like a real slowdown in the
Yeah.
residential market here. Things just kind of like really slowed down quite a bit. We're finding that things have picked up a little bit like this year, so that's good. But a lot of them are like addition remodel jobs that we're working on for clients. So, quite a few, a couple of new houses, but again, like addition remodels seem to be very popular.
But they're
We're all
fun too, aren't they?
They're a lot of fun. Yeah, I love working on it with existing houses. Yeah, for sure.
Because you got to figure it all out.
Do you do addition remodel work too?
Yeah, we do a ton of it.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta figure out, like, you're working with something existing, so you've gotta, like, really examine it, and it's a little harder because 'cause you're not sure exactly what you're getting into, but you gotta be really careful with, creating something in dialogue with the existing house is something that we're very interested in and kind of excited about. We're also working on some park projects, for the city of Austin,
Yeah.
working with Michael Van Valkenburg and Associates on a park in Austin called Palm Park. We're doing a couple of pavilion projects for them, which is kind of fun and interesting. And we're also working on, I can't say very much about it because we've signed an NDA, but a
And then
sports complex.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Talking parks and outdoor rooms makes me think about how we actually use our backyards, especially in hot places like Austin, or honestly, those humid Toronto Julys. That's where a Quanta Pools comes in. A pool isn't just a rectangle of water, it's circulation, shade, equipment efficiency, and how the water edges relates to the house. A Quanta takes a builder's view of those decisions: pump sizing, variable speed strategies, skimmer placement, and the details that keep maintenance from owning your weekends. And the way they coordinate hardscape, drainage, and fencing so the pool reads as part of the architecture, not an afterthought. So if you're exploring outdoor living, involve the pool team early. Set the elevations, talk noise from equipment, and plan conduit so lighting and controls don't become change orders. Aquanta's great at that choreography. If you want to learn more, email me, Jonathan, Jonathan, at waldenhomes.ca, and I'll set you up with an introduction to their team. All right, let's wrap up with Murray's outlook for the studio and where he wants the next projects to land. So it's a pretty broad range of projects.
Right now it is, yeah, it's quite a broad range of projects. But again, like, I'd say more than half of those are residential projects that we're doing.
Which are completely different, right? Like the client is different, the decision making is different, all of it.
It's very
You
different. Yeah.
do you find, because you're working in both, do you find, which one do you find can move faster through decision making?
Oh, definitely. I think the decision making, you don't have, like, say with the park project, this it's a public-private partnership. So our client, who is actually the landscape architect, but they're working for a conservancy called Waterloo Greenway, and they're
Okay,
in partnership with the city of Austin. So actually, Michael Van Valkenburg, they're doing quite a few projects there in Toronto, I
okay,
think. They're working on, I think the Don Valley, where the Don Valley, there's a park there where the Don River is, like, near Cherry Street
yeah, the
there.
Bentway.
Is that what it's called?
I think
Yeah,
so. Yeah, yeah. It just opened
just yeah.
a couple months ago.
But the decision making is very slow, and those projects have like years. We've been working on that project for like several years,
Right.
and we're just getting out of, like, design development on that project.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
the
the res
decision.
projects move faster.
Yeah, and the residential projects, you've got usually one or two decision makers that are, kind of like deciding, one way. I mean, at the same time, one of the challenges is projects can just like end too. Like, you can just get a phone call from a residential client. It's like, oh, we decided to buy a house instead of designing a new house. So
How'd that happen?
yeah, you know, whereas with
I-
the larger civic projects, they tend to, like, once they get going, it's like hard to stop them.
Yes.
But we're looking for more. We're really interested in doing more of the kind of park projects and civic projects, through the public art. I mean, the public art work that we're doing tend to be like they're all like civic clients. So they're so, Raleigh is we're working in the city of Raleigh and Fort Worth, and we were working in Dallas for a while there for those cities. So they tend to be like similar, like they're similar to the park projects in that they have like a civic client,
Okay.
public
And
money.
are you having to travel to these places often?
Not very often, but yeah,
Okay.
like when we go, yeah, like if we have projects out of town, like we have the project in Fort Worth, I would go up like probably, every couple of months, traveling up there to meet with a client and like to do site research or whatever.
Okay. Are
But
there is,
most of our projects right now are like in Austin.
okay.
So
Is there an area within Austin that you haven't worked in yet that you want to, or is there an area within the United States or Canada or potentially in the globe? This
sure,
is a very broad question
yeah,
that
I'd love
you,
to do a project in Canada. It'd be great. Like
okay,
my mom lives in Owen Sound, so I always thought it'd be cool to do a project up there somewhere for somebody
a
like on
barn project,
yeah, barn project, right?
right? Like make it go
Permanent.
full circle.
Yeah, that would be cool, like a timber frame project up there. No, seriously, it's such an amazing landscape, like the Niagara Escarpment. I was just
Yeah,
there for Thanksgiving and hiking on the Bruce Trail. It's such an amazing landscape. I think it'd be really fantastic to do a project up there and think about that landscape.
yeah. I'm with you, or a park project in some capacity if
Yeah,
you get
park
involved in
project.
that,
Be cool. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
It would be amazing if like in Algonquin if they did some form of
Yeah.
interesting thing with like the visitor center that was a little
Yeah.
bit more than what it currently
That
is,
would be a dream project. Yeah, for sure. Like Algonquin Park Visitor Center. I
right?
haven't been to Algonquin Park in years since I was a kid. What's the visitor center like up there?
Whatever.
Kind of boring.
I hope I'm not offending anyone right now. I go on canoe trips there with a friend of mine once a year, and so I admittedly I'm not paying a whole lot of attention to like what the visitor center feels like, but I do know that if there was something interesting there, there would be a draw that you'd probably have a lot more people going to it. I mean, I would probably take, 45 minutes out of my arrival day or my departure day to go into it and like take it in.
Right.
Um, but the
But that
park
would be
itself,
a very cool project. Yeah, visitor center for Algonquin Park. Be amazing.
right? For those of you that are unaware, Algonquin Park here in outside of Toronto, well, in Ontario, it's about 3 hours north of the city. And if I just look it up quickly, I
Magic.
think I think it's about 600 times larger than Toronto.
Wow. Yeah.
How big is Algonquin?
It's
It
an incredible
is
place.
it is 7,723
Wow.
square meters, square kilometers. Anyhow, that I digress a little bit on that topic. And so what do you see as, the kind of the future of what you want for your business at this point? And I say that kind of open-endedly. Like, would you want to be more than three? Would you want to have more than 20 projects?
Right.
What does that look like for
I
you?
think I think it's like I mean, we've been really fortunate to have like really wonderful clients and great projects. I think just keeping that going is that would be enough for me.
Yeah,
Um, Obviously, if the opportunity came up, we needed to staff up, we would do it. For if this scale of project, like we really like to do education projects, and we've got some potential education projects brewing and other religious projects that we might be doing.
that's cool.
It's like, yeah. So, if it just to do those projects if it required staffing up. I mean, the most we've ever been is like 7 people here.
Okay,
Sometimes we've got to staff up to handle
good
projects.
work.
Reality of like working in a smaller office, but I kind of like the size we are at right now.
And do you look after the architecture? You also look after interiors, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And do you look after landscape design as well?
Sometimes, yeah. Landscape design is a little more complex, but we like to work with people that really know plants and know how to, know soils. And so, but from time to time, yeah, we do interiors on a lot of our projects. From time to time, we'll work with an interior designer. If the owners like hire somebody, we'll work with them on the interior side.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you like to do for yourself, Murray, in terms of allowing yourself to
Now,
forget about practice? What are some of the hobbies that you take?
texture's my hobby.
Yeah,
That's a good question. I don't know how to answer that right now.
music.
A lot of time. Like music, yeah. I actually play the violin.
Oh, do you? I didn't
Uh-huh.
know that.
Mhm.
Okay. And do you like? Is this something that you play every day, or is it something you pick up
Um,
every now and again?
like, no, yeah, not every day, but like definitely like every week I play. I've been
Okay.
playing since I was a kid, and it's mostly for myself. I don't really play with any other people or anything like that. So, but yeah, play music and reading, drawing. I like to draw.
What is it that you like to draw?
Just like anything really. Draw a lot of like leaves. Here you can see them pinned up in the back of the
Yeah.
board. Scenes from nature and landscapes and yeah.
Do you ever give your drawings to your sister for her to then paint
To do what with?
to then convert into a painting?
No, it never really worked that way, but
Okay,
yeah.
fair. And you have kids?
One kid, yeah, she's
Okay.
27 and she's doing her PhD in biology right now. She's
Oh,
like
amazing.
yeah.
Is that in Austin?
She graduated from Dartmouth College,
Okay.
New Hampshire, and then is currently working on a PhD in Syracuse, New York. Syracuse, New
Okay.
York. It's working on soils research that has to do related to forestry.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Okay. So you'll be able to tap her mind in time,
yeah, right.
eventually.
No, she's very like she and her friends are very like interested in climate change and very motivated to fix things that are broken in the climate world. So
Fair.
yeah.
Okay. Well, Murray, I appreciate you taking time to do this, to capture life and talk about practice.
That's great. It's a lot of fun to talk, chat, and yeah.
It's been great, and getting to know you has been fantastic. I mean, I appreciate the hospitality you provided, and knowing now about the evolution of your practice also provides a little more insight as to who you are and what you're about. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anytime.